I've built a number of different home office setups in the last few years. There's just something about creating a space that just works. It feels right. As a creative person, I'm constantly searching for perfection. I also know I'll probably never achieve it, but I think I'm more in love with the process anyway. So what things am I looking for to make this all happen? I generally start with a look and feel. In this case, I'm going for light and natural materials. I'm also looking for colours: white, light wood tones, greens, greys, and gold. The centerpiece will also be the desk. I need something big and wide to have space for my cameras and other items. I'm also thinking practically, how do I make sure it stays minimal and tidy? All roads have led me to 9 AM, who have stepped up with the Pesk Pro hardwood range. The American ash hardwood with soft ergonomic curves and the huge double drawer ticked all the boxes. And speaking of boxes... Ooh, she's heavy. It all arrived in 5 boxes, and the tabletop that I went with was the largest 1.8 size. I think it'll fit this area. I haven't actually measured it, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it'll fit in here nicely. And each box is labelled, so you know exactly what you're getting. I'm always cautious about cutting boxes. Like, I don't know if this is the top of the desk or not, and so I definitely do not want to scratch it, so I'm being a little bit delicate. Which is generally good advice, but what I can say with the packaging of this box, it is very good. You've got this really strong, almost rubber-like corners, and you've got this heavy-duty styrofoam which sits on top, which it would be very difficult for your knife to cut through. So there was no harm in actually cutting open the box because my knife was never going to get through to the tabletop. So just to give you an idea, this is the 1.8 meter wide desk, and you can see how tall it is next to me. I'm about 175, so I could lay down on this almost like a bed. It's 75 centimeters wide as well, so it's big enough to cover all the things that you need on your desk without being too deep that you can't reach the other side. Now this desk comes with a drawer, and I'm guessing this is it because it says solid wood drawer. So my powers of deduction have led me to believing that that is probably the case. Now, I'm not going to bore you with unboxing every single one of these boxes. I'm just going to speed through this little section. But what I am going to say is some of these boxes are very heavy, especially this one. Now, I've said this before, but I think if weight was a measurement of quality, then this thing must be good because this box especially is extremely heavy. And lugging this box especially up the stairs is not my favorite thing to do. But what I will say is what you want is a really heavy base, and that's what this box is. All the legs, all of the connections underneath the tabletop is what's going to give you a nice stable desk. Power cables. I'm noticing that the power cables are black. We've got white legs. I would have loved to seen white cables with the white legs, but hey, I'm nitpicking here. Let's get into it. And if you stay tuned, you'll see how I overcome having a black cord on white legs. And spoiler alert, I am a genius for sorting that out. But more on that later in the video. Let's get to building. I love a simple installation, and so when things come pre-drilled, all you need to do is just find the right piece and screw it in. That is a lifesaver. I've put together a bunch of different standing desks. And one piece of advice I can tell you is to have everything out of the boxes, out where you can see it. Nobody wants to be rummaging through random plastic bags or boxes. And I don't know if this is a man thing or not, but reading instructions seems like the last thing we want to do. And generally speaking, that's kind of how it always ends up too. But I will say the instructions for this desk are easy and straightforward. It's like you already know where everything should go, and the instructions are kind of just there to confirm that you are already on the right track. It's like your super handy dad giving you a pat on the back, saying, "Good job, son. I'm really proud of you. And now you're finally loved." But the reality truly is that this table is a simple process. Although you can see quite a few cables just hanging around here, they'll all get covered up in a second. But if you're unsure, it's always good to refer back to the instructions. I'd say all up, it took probably around 45 minutes to install the whole table. I thought it was probably going to take about 4 or 5 hours considering how many boxes there were in the beginning. One thing I do not compromise on with standing desks is cable management, and this cover plate does the majority of the heavy lifting for the standing desk cables themselves. For all your other peripherals that sit on the desk, there's a cable management box as well. The other main feature that I really love about this desk, and probably the reason why I chose it, was because of the wooden drawer that it comes with. I'm starting to feel like I think every single desk now should have a drawer, especially if you feel like you want a more minimal desktop. In previous videos, I've had shelves that sit on the desk, but when the shelves are on your desk, it allows for more clutter to live there as well. So placing everything in a hidden drawer that still looks the part is starting to become a non-negotiable with me now. And while this desk does have 2 drawers, the main drawer also is separated by these 2 dividers, which if you needed more space you could remove as well. The hinges themselves move nice and free and easy, and the subtle curve matches the tabletop above it. When it comes to the controller, the buttons are physical and they give you feedback when you press them. It's not a complicated process, there's only 4 buttons on one side and 2 up and down on the other. The green button on the right stands out as it's an easy way to just set the table to standing. The button to its left brings it back down to the seated position. It moves quietly and smoothly through its process both up and down. You've also got a number of different options when it comes to reminding you of when to stand up. You can set the time in between, and you can set whether or not the table automatically rises or just gives you a gentle vibration to remind you to stand. You can also program the minimum and maximum heights for the standing and the sitting, and while you're there, why not choose your unit of measurement? Great success! One of the things you should really consider is a table that's strong enough to hold quite a heavy load. I'm about 75 kilos and it lifts me with no problems at all. When all tables reach their standing height is when they're the most wobbliest, but I found this table, it wasn't really an issue. You should also find a table that has anti-collision built in. One that basically stops, so it's not going to crush anything by accident.
Pretty good.
Apart from your desk, all the other items support the look and feel. Where possible, I've linked all of these products in the description below. As the legs are white, I decided to go with a monitor arm that matches. It's soft rounded and super strong too. You can set the spin to either be 180 or 360. I've set it to 180 so it doesn't wreck anything behind the desk. From here, I attach the inbuilt mount to my Dell Ultra Wide. I still love this monitor after a few years of use, and if you want to see a review on this monitor, I've left a link up in the top corner. If you're after the cleanest but most practical monitor option, a single ultra wide monitor is the best. And this monitor arm gives you all the flexibility for moving the monitor to the exact place you need it. But cables are the enemy of a tidy workspace, so make sure you've got a monitor arm or stand that hides them effectively. Honestly, cables are just the worst. Okay, remember when I told you about the black power cord? Well, here's my solution. We take this white power board and use it as our power instead. By connecting the black standing desk cable to the white power board and then hiding the whole thing in the cable management box.
So now we just have the one cable coming out and it's a lighter color which matches the legs.
And you want to make sure you do this when the table is standing, just to make sure the table won't pull the cord as it goes up to its standing height. But there it is. I just love how it looks when it's just the one white cable. I know it's probably not genius as I said, but I do love it. So as well as that, I've got a grey desk mat by Grovemade, my MacBook Pro M1, the MX mechanical keys by Logitech, as well as the MX Master 3S, also by Logitech, and then a cheap but very ergonomical and comfortable chair from Amazon. I've also added a couple of pops of gold with this pen that sits on the desk by Grovemade, and then my lampshade, which also has this slight pop of green that matches all of the plants. As the table has this beautiful light wood color, I wanted to continue that with the artwork on the wall. This is a photo I took of my wife when we were in the Maldives a couple of years ago. As always, this process is constantly improving. I have a lot of renovation at my house, and my office is going to be moving once again. But as a creative, I've started to learn the merits of simplicity. I'm starting to think about things that I can remove rather than add, and then only adding items that support what I'm trying to do. With this room, the biggest addition, the 9 AM desk, is 100% aligned with what I've been thinking. The drawers are practical, but also match the aesthetic that I'm trying to achieve. The subtle curves also soften the space, but ergonomically it makes so much sense too. Overall, I'm pretty excited to continue using this space, for not only its practical use, but also how it feels to work in it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, but for now it's time for you to go and get out of here.